You are listening to the Fit Figure Formula podcast. I help female perfectionists beat self-sabotage and lose the weight for good using the Fit Figure Formula coaching program. I'm your host, Stephanie Riles, registered dietitian, personal trainer, and mindset transformation coach. If you've been struggling with all or nothing thinking, negative self-talk, or self-sabotage, this is the podcast for you. Learn how to get consistent and become the best version of yourself from the inside out. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to episode 15. I am so excited that you're here. Thanks for following me on this journey. If you have listened to a few of the previous podcasts, you will know that I started this podcast September 18th on my 40th birthday. And it has been so fun to come here and share my thoughts and to really help you guys think about yourself in a different way, in a different light, so that you can create the goal and you can be the woman that can create the result, which is really what this podcast is all about. So if you've been listening to a few episodes and you're back, hey, I want you to share the podcast. If you have gotten any value from this, I want you to check out the show notes. You can tag me on Instagram or on Facebook and share this podcast with your family and friends. I also invite you to come out to my Facebook group. So a lot of people might think that Facebook groups are dead. I've heard that multiple times. And I don't know what you're talking about because my Facebook group is popping. I go live every week inside my Facebook group. And it's one thing to listen to me on this podcast, and you may be getting some value from that, but I would definitely invite you to come to the Facebook group. I go live in there. I can actually answer your questions. You can get real time feedback if you have questions. And I think that would be really valuable for you. So make sure you check out the show notes before you end this podcast and come over to my Facebook group and say hello. So, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what to do when your weight loss has stopped. And this is a very important topic. We're talking about plateaus and how to determine if you're actually in a plateau, right? So, in this episode, you're going to learn how to make that determination. You're going to learn what to do if you feel like you're stuck in your progress, and also how to manage your mindset and keep going. And this is exactly what I teach my clients inside the Fit Figure Formula, where we dive into not only macros, but also your mindset so that you can continue to be the woman that can create the result. So we tackle all of the areas where people tend to fall off: vacations, mindset, being consistent, motivation, eating out, all the things. So you will literally have a blueprint for what to do and what works for you and your lifestyle. So you can never say, like, I don't know what to do, right? So we map out all of that together inside of the formula. So make sure that if you're struggling, now would be an amazing time for you to reach out for help. And you can do that with the link in the show notes. All right, so let's dive into the episode. So the very first thing that I want you to do, if you feel like I'm on this journey, but I feel like I'm stuck, nothing's moving. Number one, I want you to start tracking your habits. So I want you to do this for like a week or two and track the habits that you think are making the biggest difference in your health journey. So that may be your workouts, it may be your eating, right? And so you have to be kind of specific. So for example, with your workouts, you may think, okay, my goal is 4 times. This is what I have for my clients is 4 times a week for strength training workouts. So if your goal is 4 times a week, how many times are you actually getting 4 times in? Because sometimes we want credit for our intention or for our planning to do it, but setting an intention to work out 4 times is not the same thing as actually getting in for strength training workouts a week, right? So whatever your habits are, whatever goals that you have set, and if you have not set habit goals, I would even start there because your habits are really going to determine the progress that you see. So make sure that you're actually tracking your habits, okay? You want to audit your habits and you want to say, okay, am I actually getting in 4 workouts a week? Am I actually hitting my macro goals, right? Or am I just eating mindfully and thinking that that's good enough, right? Maybe you're not ordering DoorDash as much. Maybe you're not eating out as much, but it doesn't mean that you're eating within your calorie and protein range to see the result. Or it could mean that you're not eating in your calorie and protein range enough to see the result right now, right? So you want to make sure that you're tracking your actual habits. And this is what we focus on inside of the formula are these 5 areas: your mindset, your movement, your meals, your stress, and your sleep. These are the 5 areas that you've really got to master in order to see progress and see results. So we don't get credit for our desire or our intention, but actually completing the task, right? So we have to get really, really honest with ourselves about what we're actually doing on a consistent basis. So you have to know what you're actually tracking, track those habits, and then make some adjustments. So when you don't track your habits, when you're not tracking your meals, it's really hard to tweak something. Like, how can you make an adjustment when you really, in general, are kind of like, I'm not exactly sure if I'm getting 3 to 4 workouts in every week, maybe, right? So, you really have to figure out how do you track that? So, pen and paper work, right, is just the diligence to actually go in there and like mark it off. So this looks like having your workouts on your actual calendar or planner or however you manage your life instead of saying like I'm going to work out 3 times this week. Well, when? Is that Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m.? Is that Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 2 p.m.? Like putting it on your calendar and really protecting that time so that it's not just a wish, it's actually like a plan on your calendar. That's a real thing. That's an appointment with yourself. When you have a plan, that's a start, but then it's like, how can I create a system so that I don't have to start from scratch each week, right? And the system is really just the plan on repeat, right? So when we think about our meals, for example, do you have a system for planning, prepping, grocery shopping? So for me, that would look like Fridays are my grocery shopping day. So I might plan what I'm going to have and then grocery shop on a Friday. And then on Sunday, I might prep. And throughout the week, as I'm cooking, as I am running out of certain items or ingredients in my kitchen, I have a paper on my refrigerator that is actually categorized by like frozen items, pantry items, meat, etc. And I will write down the things that I run out of. So if I run out of olive oil, if I run out of peppers, I will just write it in the corresponding category. And then when I go to plan on Friday, I already have like a little template of things that I already need. But I'm not starting from scratch every week. And that's my system. And that works. Do you know what your system is? Because a lot of folks don't. They just think, okay, I go to the grocery store once a week, but when is that? Like, are you actually putting that on your calendar? All of this is super simple to do. It's actually executing it on a regular basis, because what happens is if you just leave it up to chance and say, okay, sometime on the weekend I'll go, and then you procrastinate or something happens at the last minute and then you don't get it done, and then it's Monday and you have no food for the week. So really setting that intention, having a plan, creating a system for that plan, and then troubleshooting the plan when the plan isn't working, right? So you may have had a change in your schedule for work. Your kids may have an extracurricular activity after school now, and that kind of changes your workflow, right? So don't just throw it all out the window. Make sure that you're troubleshooting. Make sure that you are thinking critically about your week, which is so important. And this is why every Saturday I have a weekly reset for my clients where they reflect on their previous week, they troubleshoot and they say, okay, what went well, what did not go well, and then how can I troubleshoot? Troubleshooting is one of the key elements of consistency. If you're not troubleshooting the plan, if you're not troubleshooting the system, when something breaks or goes awry, like life will do, then it will take you a really long time to get back to it if you ever do. So make sure that you're troubleshooting the system when something does change. So I'll give you an example. I was doing really good about getting up super early in the morning and going to the gym. And this was before my kids would get up. So my 16-year-old decided that she was going to start cross country. And she came home one day and was like, "Oh, I'm in cross country." And I'm like, "What?" So I had to take her in the morning to cross country practice at the time that I typically would go to the gym. And I had to think to myself, okay, the time that I usually go to the gym is no longer the time that I'm going to be able to continue to go to the gym. What do I need to change? Right. And so I just had to think through that and make a new plan and then work that system. Right. So it's very important that you troubleshoot. And the last thing is using your mindset tools to help you overcome the resistance of getting it done. So at the end of the day, if you are not assessing who am I being, what do I need to do to overcome this resistance, how do I need to show up today, you're not encouraging yourself, you're not giving yourself time to think intentionally, then eventually you're going to get distracted, you're going to get worn down. Okay. And then you want to put that on repeat. So let me restate that. So have a plan, create a system for the plan, troubleshoot the plan, and use your mindset tools. And then put this on repeat, right? So this is how we build consistency, is constantly evaluating and reevaluating what's working and what's not. Okay. So if you feel like you're stuck, are you tracking your habits? If not, I would start there. Start tracking your habits, audit yourself and what you're already doing. Because sometimes we will think that we need something new, something else, something external, something additional in order to see the results, when we really just need to go back to the basics of saying, what is working? Where have I kind of fallen off? Where am I kind of fudging a little bit? And audit your current system. Because if you've been losing weight, something was working in the past, right? Something was working. And we can talk about what may need to change because our body does adapt to what we're doing. But the first step really is looking at what I'm already doing. Am I actually doing the thing? Or am I thinking that I'm doing everything I need to do, but I'm really not? So sometimes we can think that we're in a plateau, but we're actually just not being as consistent as we need to actually see the result, right? And so the interesting thing is, though, even though you may not be totally consistent the way that you think you are, it doesn't mean you're not making any progress. It actually just means that your progress will be a lot slower. And that's not a problem unless you're not managing your mindset. Because sometimes when our progress is really slow, we may think that we're not making any progress at all. And then we quit, which is self sabotage, right? Because if we quit because we're not making progress, that's just self sabotage. We know logically that that's not the answer, right? But sometimes if you're not careful, you will think, okay, I'm in a plateau. I don't know what to do because we're not auditing our habits. And we're like, well, screw it because this isn't working anyway. So let me go and do something else. So when you feel like you're not making progress, you want to audit yourself. Okay. You want to audit your mindset, your movement, your meals, your sleep, and your stress. So what does this look like? It could look like looking at your Fitbit or your Apple Watch and looking at your steps. So go in there, go into the app and look and see, on average, how many steps am I getting per day? Are you getting at least 7,500 steps a day? If you're not getting an average of 7,500 steps, then you could just start with getting more steps in a day, right? Or are you getting in 4 strength training workouts every week? Are you challenging yourself by lifting a little heavier? And I'm going to do a podcast on lifting weights soon, but these 5-pound weights are cute and it's a great place to start for some of us, but we have got to increase some of our weights. Are you sleeping 7 to 9 hours of sleep? Some of you guys are only getting like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. And that's just not enough time to recover. It's not enough time for your body to actually repair itself from these workouts. And you want to make sure that if you're not getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, that's something that you can start doing to audit yourself. Are you managing your stress well? Right? Are you chronically super duper stressed, very irritable? Right? Are you doing things that make you happy? Are you laughing? Are you enjoying yourself? Are you getting some time alone to decompress? Are you overstimulated? Troubleshooting that. What would it look like for you to manage your stress well? Because that is impacting your weight loss journey. We want to look at all these other things a lot of times, but if you're not managing your stress, it is definitely impacting your weight loss journey. Are you hitting your calorie and protein goal? So, again, this is not just mindful eating. Sometimes it's nice when we can just mindfully eat and we can change a few habits without getting super strict and we can see a result. But if you've been doing that and that has not been working, then you want to get a little bit more specific. And when you are tracking your macros, and I teach my clients how to hit their protein, how to hit their calorie goal without being in their tracking device every single day and still be able to hit their goals. So if you are not hitting your goals at least 80% or more of the time each week, not just you had one good week, right? This isn't about just having one good week. This is about how can you string together some good weeks by following your system, which is why it's so important that you create a system and not just randomly fly by the seat of your pants every single week. It's really important that you create a system that you can work again and again and again so that it's not hard to string together several weeks where you are actually hitting your goal. Okay. So these are some things that you can track, things that you can dive deeper into to see what is it that you can tweak. And when you track, it's so much easier to see what needs to be tweaked because if you aren't tracking anything, it's really hard to change. You don't know what's working well, what's not, where you need to improve. Okay? And I will give you one client example where I had a client who was walking a lot. Like she had increased her steps quite a bit. And I'm like, great, you're walking a lot. I'm super proud of you. Let's see how we can get some more strength training workouts in. And she had a lot of resistance around like not having enough time. And there's always a compromise. Like I believe that everything is figure outable if you want to figure it out. And resistance is totally normal. Resistance looks like excuses, procrastination, getting distracted. And this client had a lot of resistance. And in her mind, the way that she was articulating why she couldn't get in a workout was really because she felt like she didn't have time to do both. And I get it. You may not have time to do both, but increasing your steps, right, is not going to give you the same result as strength training 3 to 4 times a week, right? So it's like in her mind, hey, I'm doing more. And we celebrated that. And understanding that even though you're walking more steps, I don't care how many steps you walk, is not going to give you the same result as lifting 4 times, right? And so we can think about that in multiple ways. How much time do you think it's going to take you to do a a workout, right? And so we actually ended up coming up with a compromise where she was doing some more follow along workouts and that really worked out well for her and she really enjoyed it. But at first she had some resistance to it. And her body composition did start to change. And it's like sometimes when we do make a change, we're like, hey, I'm making this change. And I'm like, yes, you're doing great, but you got to keep going because if you're not putting all the pieces together, then you may not get the result that you want, or it may be a lot slower than you think. And again, when it's super slow, then we think we're not making any progress at all. And then we quit. So, when we are being really honest with ourselves, then we can kind of look at, okay, what needs to be changed and what's going well. But then also, we can take a look at what are the metrics that we are tracking. Are you just looking at the scale? Or have you been tracking your measurements, your photos? Have you been tracking to see how your clothes are fitting? If you're just looking at the scale and you're saying, hey, I'm in a plateau, you might be missing something. So the scale is not going to tell you everything that you need to know about your health journey, about your weight loss journey. And I know that this podcast is called the Fit Figure Formula Weight Loss for Perfectionists. And the scale is important, but it's not the most important thing. And you'll find that if you let go of the scale, and at times the scale may not be moving as much as you want it to, but if you're tracking your measurements, if you're tracking your photos and you're still seeing some progress, you're still seeing your inches improve, your clothes are starting to fit better, your body is still changing. But if you're only looking at the scale, you might think I'm in a plateau. So make sure that you are tracking your progress, the scale included, but also what are your measurements looking like? How do your photos look? How are your clothes fitting? So when you start to track all of your other measurements, like your photos, like your measurements, like your body fat percentage, you will still see like, oh, okay, I'm still making progress. And if the scale isn't moving now, it will if you keep going. But if you're not tracking those other things, you might stop because you feel like it's not working because the scale isn't moving. And the other thing is, how long have you been dieting? If you've been dieting 6 months or longer, it may be time for you to bring up your calories and do a reverse diet. So, a reverse diet is essentially when you start to increase your calories by maybe 100 calories or so every 1 to 2 weeks. And you continue to strength train, you continue to get your steps in, but you are incrementally increasing the calories that you're eating. And I have had so many clients who have improved their body composition, who are seeing inches fall off because they're increasing their calories. So I always want my clients to lose weight on the most calories and not on the least calories. When you focus on restricting your calories and trying to eat as little as possible, your body will start to adapt to the environment that you're giving it, which is a 1,200, 1,300 calorie diet. And so, what I like to do is make sure that my clients are eating more and not less. And the truth is, eating at maintenance calories is very underrated. So, if you've been dieting for a long time, your body may have just adjusted to the calories that you're giving it, and you need a new stimulus. And increasing your muscle mass would be a great way to help increase your metabolism so that you can actually lose weight at rest. So, increasing your calories incrementally, focusing on strength training in your steps, and building muscle just might be the thing that helps you to see more progress. And that can be progress on the scale, but it can also be progress in your photos, measurements, and body fat percentage. So don't be afraid to increase your calories. You want to do this slowly. You want to still be taking your weights and measurements and all the things, but you want to make sure that you are continuing to track your macros as you are reversing and even at maintenance. I think I've talked about this in a previous episode where a lot of times when we stop quote unquote dieting or being in a diet phase, we just stop tracking. And if you've lost weight and you've had a successful fat loss phase, then you don't know what your new maintenance phase is because now you are a smaller person. So you really do need to reverse out and incrementally increase your calories, focus on strength training, and figure out where your maintenance level is. And once you find that maintenance calorie level, you can really optimize your muscle building. So, this is where we start to look like we work out. This is where we really are fueling our body, we're lifting heavy, and we start to see some muscle definition. It's going to be really hard for you to build some real muscle when you're under eating, right? You're in a calorie deficit. If we want to put some extra tissue on our body, we got to be feeding it and fueling it. And so the best way to do that is to actually feed your body. So that maintenance calories is so important. Maintenance and going into a very small surplus to actually increase your muscle mass over time, which is going to help you in the long run to keep your body fat percentage down and burn more calories at rest so that you do not have to pound the gym and do a whole bunch of cardio in order to burn a lot of calories. You'll be burning more calories at rest if you build that muscle, and you'll look like you work out. So I really hope this episode was helpful in terms of understanding how you know you're in a plateau and what to do, what to track, what to look for, and some things that you can actually implement to make sure that you're continuing to make progress, not only on the scale, but in other measurements that you should be also tracking. So don't keep guessing, you guys. So get the support that you need. So if some of these terms like reverse dieting may be a little bit foreign to you, you don't know how you're going to lose weight and eat a little bit more calories. This is why you hire a coach. This is why you hire a dietitian that can help you through this process. And if you're looking for a coach, I'd love to help you. So when you coach with me, we will work on the exact formula that works for you to keep and create the result that you want. So listen, I know that it is holiday season and you could totally go and get a new TV. You could get a new iMac or whatever kind of Apple product that you want. Or you could do something epic this year and go into 2024 prioritizing you, prioritizing your health, and transforming your mindset and your lifestyle for good. So, if I told you that I could help you get off medication, lower your A1C, look like you work out, help you have a better quality of life, and possibly even a longer life by living a healthy life, how much would that be worth to you? If I told you that you could work with me for $10,000 and you would have it like 1 year, let's just say it's just 1 year, would you pay $10,000 for an extra year of life or a better quality of life, even for just 1 year? Of course you would. The cost of working with a coach and getting this right is literally priceless. You cannot put a price on your actual life. I've said this before, but if you do not have your health, you don't have much. You won't be able to go to work. You won't be able to play with your kids or to do all the things that we prioritize over our health all the time. And I don't want you to wait. I don't want you to wait. There's no reason to wait till the first of the year, right? Like that mentality of waiting till the first of the year is also the mentality that keeps you stuck, that keeps you starting over on Monday, that keeps you procrastinating and waiting to get started when you can get started now. So, if you are listening to this and you're like, hey, I know I need help, but I'm waiting till the first, this is your sign. We're not doing that this year. Do something epic. Change your mindset. Work on who you are and who you are becoming and focus on that so that you can keep your result. A lot of you guys have lost weight before. That's not something, it's easy to lose weight. The hard part is keeping it off. And in this 16 weeks, when you work with me, you're not paying for 16 weeks. You are paying for what you learn in this 16 weeks that you can take with you forever so that you can stay off medication, continue to lower your A1C, live a healthy, happy lifestyle, possibly extend your life. And especially for a lot of my clients are African American women, chronic diseases like diabetes or hypertension is rampant in our families and it's preventable. It is preventable. You do not have to be on medication. And it's time to really get serious about who you want to be and what you want to achieve because I want you to be able to check off lose weight from your to-do list. I want you to be able to take care of yourself and make this a habit and create systems for yourself to be successful. And then go on and continue to live your life. Like, do all the other things that you want to do instead of spending so much time and energy on weight loss or trying to figure out how to do this. I want you to go and live your life. Go write that book, go start that business, right? And don't allow your health or your weight to hold you back. So if you are looking for a coach, I'd love to help you. You can go to the show notes, book a call. On that free call, I will get to know you a little bit better. So you've been listening to me. I want to know more about you. What has worked in the past? What's not working? What is your ultimate goal? And then we can decide on that call if it's a good fit. So check out the show notes, apply to work with me. I look forward to seeing your application, and I'll see you on the next episode.